Welcome everybody to Bases and Brews with Ben and Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer and sometimes other alcohols. We stream the show live on twitch.tv/bases and brews every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come give us a follow, watch us live over there. Or if you can't catch us live every week, you can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on podcast services such as Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor, and several others. Just search for the channel Bases and Brews Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at Bases Brews to get some baseball news and updates about the podcast. And with that out of the way, how you doing this week, man?
Oh,
Why do you want me to try the motor oil?
bro. Okay, so what I'm drinking today, I poured it and it was like pouring oil.
Is that thick?
It was that thick.
You're gonna laugh at me.
That's
Smells like teriyaki sauce.
She said it smells like teriyaki sauce.
nice. I like it.
So it is. Hold on, I'll go through this real quick. It's an imperial pastry stout with chocolate and strawberries. Look at this can, though.
Okay, I'm already in.
It's R2D2
That makes
giving
so
a
much-
flower to a fire hydrant.
I mean, R2D2 makes sense if it's motor oil. Perfect. That's great.
It is so good too. It is super sweet for a stout.
What's the name of that one?
I do get the chocolate and I do get the strawberry. But I can't get over the fact that it tastes like soy sauce or teriyaki sauce. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what it's called. It's
There's no name on the can.
The only thing I can think of is You're My Only Hope from Mason Ale Works.
Okay. Nice. That's
It's
cool though.
definitely tasty, but as you can see, even like when I hold it right up in front of my light,
That's
like,
dark.
it is dark.
Nice.
From San Diego.
I switched it up this week and I am drinking some scotch.
And I'm assuming
The
porter though.
video is reversed, but it is called Aberlour Scotch. It is from Aberlour, Scotland. As you know, all scotches are basically named from a place in Scotland. I mean, or like a family name, but it's pretty good. I just tasted it in this nice pink mug with this blue ice stick.
Oh, see, you're smart.
Did you tell
Yeah, didn't water it down.
Oh yeah, I didn't even say the best part. This beer is 13% alcohol.
Holy hell.
So the other funny part is I only bought 2 of these because they were $10 a fucking beer.
Dang. Not a 4-pack or something
No,
like a beer.
it was $10 a beer. So I was like, I'll buy 2. But
Yeah.
is that so?
Okay.
Is it you got Scotch, right?
Yes,
it's
this
not a
is
whiskey. It's a Scotch. Was that like a mid grade?
It's like
As far as like quality goes, is it like on the par with like say McCallum or?
yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's around there.
Okay.
Also, I just realized that the bottle is like handwritten on here. Like they must like each batch they measure the alcohol content and the person who measures it signs it. So like there's a signature written in pen on the bottom of the label with like 48% written in, which is kind of cool, and which batch number you got so you can like see if you got the same batch if you really like it and go back.
That's actually really sweet.
That's pretty sweet. But yeah,
I did
matured in sherry oak casks, single malt Scotch.
Okay. love the sherry oak cask scotches. One of the Macallan I get is just one of those, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Also, I looked it up, and this same distillery also makes a single malt scotch that comes in a black skull bottle. Like the bottle is shaped like a skull and it's painted black.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
It looks pretty cool.
That one's more expensive because you're paying for the bottle.
I'm sure.
Have you ever done that?
Done what?
Like bought a really dope bottle of something just for the bottle? Like you didn't even really care what was in the bottle, whether you drank it or not?
In a way, I've done that. So I bought a bottle when I lived in New York. I was celebrating New Year's by myself, and I was like, fuck. I've always wanted to know what an expensive bottle of champagne tasted like. So I went to like the grocery store and I bought like, a $5 or $10 bottle of champagne that you would normally buy. And then I went to this liquor store, and I lived in the Hamptons. So like high-end liquor.
Bougie.
And I bought a bottle of Dom Perignon.
Oh.
So
one of like the most
was
overrated, expensive champagnes.
I went for it.
Hey.
But that was like, I mean, that's as close as I've ever been to like buying it for like the bottle, like because of the name.
Yeah, I've bought a couple. Mostly tequila bottles, and I don't drink tequila. Me and tequila don't get along. But I've bought a couple really cool looking tequila bottles just because the bottles looked really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even talking like expensive bottles. I think 2 of them were like $30. I did spend like $200 on one bottle one time, but it had a worm in the bottom, and I was prepared to actually drink it, and it was a bad idea.
When I was younger, like before I even drank, I used to take, whenever my parents would finish a bottle of liquor, I'd take it and, slight backstory. I got to paint my room when I was younger. So I painted it black and then took squirt guns and filled them with neon paint and just squirted them all over the walls. And then I bought a couple black lights. And
that's kind of
it was cool as shit. But so I took empty liquor bottles that my parents had, and I filled them with water, and then took the ink cartridge out of the highlighter and dropped it in and shake it up, and then the bottles glow. So I had like a shelf full of bottles around my room, and that was as close as I've come to like displaying bottles. And even back then, I'm like, I didn't even know. I was like 12. I wasn't doing it because they were liquor bottles. I just did it because it looked cool. But I wasn't ready. But
I've done that quite a few times.
I did it where I like breathed in as I was about to go drink it, and I'm like,
I feel like I do that at least once every time I get a new bottle of scotch.
Same.
Every time.
After
the first sip, you're good, but that first sip is always like the whew.
Exactly.
Okay, this is what we're getting into tonight.
But yeah, all right. Let's get into some hot and cold this week. Starting off, I have to do my Shane Bieber watch.
Next week he is not allowed to be on the hot list. I don't care if he strikes out 80
What if
people.
he's still hot?
I don't care. He's been on the hot list every week.
I mean, if we would have started this podcast last year, he would have been on it then too.
Every week.
Okay, but legitimately though,
he is on fire.
20 straight games with 8+ strikeouts, which is, he already broke the record, so every game is a new record. But 85 Ks in 55 innings is ridiculous. Like that's an insane number. But all right, so that's my Shane Bieber watch out of the way. Breaking records every single time he pitches.
Corbin Burns ended up with 58 Ks, no walks.
Is he still going?
No. He gave up his first walk in his last start. I think it was on Thursday, I want to say.
Okay.
I think he walked him in like the 4th inning or something. That was his first walk.
Okay.
But what I thought was crazy is I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I read a whole article on it, but I think if I remember right, it was of the 108 batters he faced, like the first 108 people, only 2 ever got to a 3-0 count.
Bang.
Like, that is insane.
That's nuts. I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
So nuts.
Oh, yeah, that's nuts. I can't even
and there was a couple other, but
that.
I can't remember what they were, so I don't want to misquote them. But that to me is insane that only 2 people in your first 108 batters that you faced got to a 3-0 count.
Right. Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, that's an amazing start to a season. Like, I don't even know. I'm actually curious now.
Well, you know what was even crazier about it? Was he actually had to take 2 weeks off due to COVID.
Yeah, you're right.
So not only was he throwing lights out, he took a 2-week break for COVID and then came back and was still doing the same thing.
Man, the Brewers are not good, are they?
No, they're really not.
He's 2-3 with a 1.57 ERA.
Yeah, no,
I was curious what his actual stat line was. Like, I know he's striking people out and not walking, but
yeah, he's pitching well, but they're not playing well.
1.57 ERA, 0.64 WHIP.
Yeah.
So pretty dang good, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, yeah, again, broke the record at 52 strikeouts. Ended with 58 before he walked the guy.
What's crazy with that, too, is he beat out a reliever.
Yeah.
Because it was Kenley Jansen who had the record at 52. For the he was a closer for the Dodgers. Which, I'm surprised there's some older closers that didn't have a record similar to that, but like a Mariano Rivera, I'm surprised he never got something like that. Because he was lights out. He's a Sandman.
Yeah, but I feel like he still walked some guys. Just nobody could hit him.
Okay, maybe that's a fair point.
But yeah. Next up on the hot list is Shuhei Otani, who's going insane right now. We have a news article regarding him we'll talk about in a little bit, but he's the first player ever. I actually wrote this wrong in here, but he's the first player ever to start at pitcher and then bat leadoff in the following game, like the next game.
He also played the field after pitching, which is another first since like 1908 or something like that.
Yeah. He played right field for a couple innings after he finished pitching, which is just nuts. The dude's insane.
And we'll get into it, but you can only stretch so thin.
Right. And I mean, he is crazy. Like, he's pitching great.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also batting .285. He has 10 stolen bases. Or no, I'm sorry. This is a different year. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong year.
I was going to say he should be hitting better than that.
He's actually hitting way worse.
Oh, really?
260. Well, 257.
Yeah, but he was tied for the home run lead.
Well, he was. He has 10 home runs. 26 RBIs is pretty damn good this early in the year. But yeah, he's really good in both aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Let's see. His ERA is 2.1 right now.
That's insane. It's insane that
his
ERA is 2.1 and he has 10 home runs.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about him more in a minute when we get to the news. But the last up on my hot list at the moment is my Indians.
Of course.
Okay, but like,
I mean,
they legitimately have the best record in baseball over the last 10 games. Like, they're 9-1 in their last 10. They swept 3 different teams in that span.
But who were those
which
teams?
was the Cubs, the Reds, and the no, I'm sorry, we lost one to the Reds. The Cubs, the Royals, and the White Sox.
Okay.
The Royals were in first place when we swept them. Now they're in third place. And the White Sox are now currently in first place in the division. So, not like scrub teams. The Cubs are not very good this year, but I think, yeah, the Cubs are 1 game under 500. But, yeah. So, Indians, hot right now. Flip side of that, and maybe this is just because I'm pay attention to the AL Central more than any other team or a division in baseball, but the Twins, who I believe both you and I picked to finish first in the division. If not, we had them second. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are currently the worst team in baseball at 12-23. And they're okay. Well, yeah. The Tigers lost tonight, which technically made them the worst team, even though Minnesota has less wins. But either way, they're supposed to be one of the top teams in baseball this year, like picked by everybody, not just you and me.
So
and
yeah,
they're bad.
You want to know who else is tragically bad, comically bad, that had one of the hottest starts in baseball? The Dodgers. They're 7-15 in their last 22 games.
You're not wrong, but they did just sweep somebody.
They're currently they swept a 2-game series against Seattle.
Oh, it was only a 2-game?
Yeah, it was only a 2-game.
That's not as impressive. I just saw the headline that the Dodgers swept someone and somebody on the team was like, this is how we should be playing. But
well, yeah, because I put them to win the division, like,
yeah,
they're sitting there at third, and I'm like, man, my Giants are just killing it right now. They did lose tonight, but it's lately they just haven't lost.
You know, it's crazy. So just because I'm glancing at the standings right here, all the divisions are fairly close in like the top 3 or 4. The AL Central has 2 teams that are 10 games or more back of first place right now.
Oof.
The Twins and the Tigers are both. Whoa. The Twins are 10 back. The Tigers are 10.5 back.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Tigers are the worst team in baseball this year so far.
Technically, well, by percentage points, yes. They're 1 percentage point worse than Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Because they lost today. Going into the day, Minnesota was worse.
Okay, so that they've been flip-flopping then the last week because I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. And Detroit at one point was like 9-22 or something stupid like that.
Yeah, they're. I mean, Detroit wasn't. Nobody expected Detroit to be good. But yeah, that's our hot and cold. Unless you got another team to add, I know
no teams, but I just want to throw out some homer love to Buster Posey so far this year. He's been getting a lot of rest time, which we'll get into my thoughts on how much he's resting later when we get into our big topic for the week and our philosophies with baseball. But in the time he has played, he's hitting .383 with 8 home runs and 12 RBIs. RBIs, I could use a few more with that many home runs and whatnot, especially with that high of an average. But it just shows you he's been just killing it this year so far.
Yeah, there was actually I don't put as much stock in RBIs because RBIs are very dependent on the people in front of you.
That's very true.
You could be batting 400, but if only a couple guys get on base, a game in front of you, it's like can't really get RBIs.
That's true. I get what you're saying with that.
I actually just saw an article about Bryce Harper because people were getting on Bryce Harper about his RBI numbers, which I'll pull up here. He's only got where are they? 11 RBIs.
Yeah, see, Buster Posey has more RBIs than Bryce Harper. Who would have thought that in 2021?
But Bryce Harper is batting 306 with 7 homers. And it's like there was some, I think the stat was that he's only had runners in scoring position like 14 at bats the entire season. And it's like,
okay,
RBI is a great number, but if you don't have guys in front of you on base, then you're never going to get RBIs unless you hit home runs.
When I hear he's had 11 RBIs with 14 opportunities, that's pretty good. That's almost 1 for 1.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
I'd take that over.
It's one of those stats that very few people are going to dig into it to that point to look at that, which is why people freak out when they say, he's only got 11 RBIs. What's he doing? And then it's like, well, yeah, but nobody else on the team's hitting in front of him. So how's he supposed to get them?
He's been, I think, very humbled since signing his new contract, and I think he's playing pretty well this year. I've never been a Bryce Harper fan. I've always thought he was kind of a prick. This year, I'm feeling a little different about him.
I liked him when he came up originally because he didn't. I mean, he was cocky, but
I don't
he
mind
was the number one
so
prospect in baseball. You earned that. So I don't mind it, but yeah, there was a while there, the last few years in Washington, where he was I don't know, he thought he was better than he was.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's ever thought he was better than he is, because when he's right and actually playing well, he's easily one of the best in baseball. But the problem is, I think he gets in his own way mentally a lot of the times. This year, I think he's maybe coming out of that a little bit, growing up, maturing a little bit.
I think part of the issue is that when he struggles, he shows his frustration a lot, which I get, but he does it by yelling at his teammates and arguing calls that are not wrong and stuff like that, and it makes him look dumb.
So I'm someone who lives with his emotions on his sleeves. I'm totally cool with someone showing their frustrations, but you just kind of keyed in on, you can't go at other people because you're mad at yourself.
Right. Yeah, he was taking it out on the wrong people.
Yeah. And so if you want to show you're frustrated, that's fine, but your teammates don't deserve that kind of heat when it's your issue, not theirs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've never really minded Bryce Harper, but yeah, there were times when he got on my nerves, and I think baseball is better when he is, when he's doing well. I think,
I agree.
I mean, the more marketable stars you have, even if baseball's terrible at marketing their stars, the more that you have, the more casual fans are going to hear about it and tune in.
I don't disagree with that at all. Let's dive on into some stuff from this week.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll go to Shuhei Otani first, since we were talking about him. So yeah, he was supposed to pitch. Oh, now I'm gonna mess this up. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to pitch this Friday, and that start is going to be pushed back now because of fatigue, which is what you and I both mentioned at the very beginning of the year. Was, can he hold up?
Yeah,
because playing both ways.
Yeah, it wasn't a question of was he good enough to do it, because he clearly is, but how long was he going to be able to do it for? And it's looking like what he's trying to do is not so feasible in the modern game.
This is actually super disappointing because I didn't get to read the full article. He was supposed to pitch Tuesday against the Indians, which would have been cool because I definitely would have watched that.
That definitely would have been a game.
But apparently is pushed back 1 to 3 days, which means he won't pitch against the Indians probably.
Because he's supposed to pitch this coming Tuesday?
Yeah, this coming Tuesday against the Indians.
Okay, so he'll be pitching probably like Friday then.
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday or Friday probably.
That's what.
Because I feel like you don't delay him. You don't push back his start if it's only going to be 1 day, so it's going to be at least 2 or 3.
Or and if you're gonna only do one, you just say we're pushing him back to Wednesday, and so is going to pitch Tuesday. Usually, you don't kind of go 1 to 3 days. Like, that means he's probably going to go longer than shorter.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if that's all it's going to be is like he gets a start push back a day or two every once in a while, that's not a huge deal. But if the fatigue starts to get to the point where he's like getting hurt or something like that could be a big issue.
That's true.
And then what do you do? Do you? I mean, I know he wants to be a two-way player, but do you try to make him just a pitcher or just a hitter? Which one is more valuable to the Angels?
See,
because he's good at both.
And this is where it gets sticky. This is kind of what I figured was going to happen at some point. Like, I knew that at some point he was going to have to choose. And
yeah, I'm still thinking that's like several years from now.
I don't think it's that far away. Because I don't think managers want to ruin his longevity.
Fair.
So I think they're going to make him, like, they're going to force him to pick. And I don't think they're going to pick for him, to be honest. I think they're going to give him the respect and say, you can either be a DH and occasional fielder, or you can pitch, but you have to do one. And I think that's going to come within 2 years. I think they'll let him do his thing this year. And then I think he'll run into the same problem next year where he gets fatigued kind of early and they got to really manage him for the rest of the year. And I think they're probably just going to be over the whole having to manage him and just be like, look, man, we need you to pick one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, they may try to influence him and goes, hey, we need a DH, or hey, we could really use you here. But I don't think they're going to say, you're going to be a pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, that's more likely what it would be if it comes to that, is they'll be like, hey, we're going to let you pick. We would prefer if you would do this, but if you would prefer the other thing, we'll go with that. And even if he pitches, like, he could still potentially DH every once in a while. Like, he doesn't have to fully switch, just not like every single day playing.
I agree.
Or vice versa, if he picks to be a DH/fielder, like maybe you use him in a doubleheader or something as a pitcher. Like, he could still pitch every once in a while, but
yeah. I agree. I agree with all of that.
But yeah, I mean, still,
how dare you say
incredible.
Things that make sense?
That's good. I like it. I like when I make sense. But yeah, hopefully it's later rather than sooner in this case, because watching him do this has been awesome.
Yeah.
So this next news story is one I just randomly found. So first off, did you know Roy Halladay died?
Oh, really? Did you not know that?
It wasn't. No.
Oh, I was joking. Yeah, like, that was huge news. How did you not know that?
I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, it was a plane crash. He was flying his own plane.
2017?
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was joking when you were like, oh, what? Like, I'm like...
I legitimately do not remember this at all.
That's why he was inducted into the Hall of Fame so early.
I didn't know he was in the Hall of Fame.
I'm pretty... Well,
honestly,
okay, hold on.
If you would have asked me, I would have been like, he might still be on a team somewhere. I honestly had no idea. But yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know any of this.
Yeah, they inducted him in 2019. Okay, I was like, I'm almost positive that happened, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, so anyway, so I didn't know that, but
So Toronto, apparently downtown Toronto has no baseball fields anywhere in the city that are like open to the public. And so the first one is going to be opening this week, I believe, or maybe this month. I can't remember. And it's going to be called Roy Halladay Field.
I actually really like the sentiment.
Yeah, his family was there and was like, or quoted in the article, and apparently he did like a ton of work with like inner city kids trying to get baseball out to people that don't get access to playing baseball. So like this is something that like he was all about. But yeah, it was just a really cool story and shocked the hell out of me because I didn't even know.
That's crazy. I to be completely honest, of all the things that have happened like recently, that you had, if you had said like I didn't know that, probably wouldn't surprise me. But I feel like that was such big news. I'm surprised you didn't hear that.
I'm sure I probably heard about it, but it was one of those things that it didn't like stick in my head
it
for
just
some
didn't
reason.
register really.
Yeah, because I have to have heard about it. I watch baseball literally almost every day. Like even the Indian, like every team, I'm sure talked about it when it happened.
Oh yeah, it was huge news. They did like a Memorial Day for him, if I'm not mistaken, across baseball.
I'm sure. I mean, Roy Halladay was great. Like one of the best pitchers in the time that I've watched baseball. One of the better pitchers.
That's fair. Bro, I feel like I'm drinking a meal.
Cool story, and
and
just something I didn't know.
Just to be clear, that's Toronto's naming their major league field after him, right?
No. It's just
the
like little league.
Okay, just the one that he helped create, like to make as a public field for people.
He didn't have.
Oh,
they broke ground on it in 2019 after he had been.
So they just
it was something
did it in honor of
his
him.
family was involved in it, and they dedicated the field to him.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it's the first public baseball field in all of Toronto.
Okay,
is the other like besides it being named after him? That's the other like big part of the news story.
That's crazy to think that in Toronto there was no.
That's
public
what I
baseball
thought.
Fields.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
America, you go everywhere. There's a baseball field, little league field, something.
Yeah, it says it's worded weird, so I'm not 100% sure on like what exactly it means, but it says it's the first completely accessible baseball diamond in Toronto. To me, that means like first public field in Toronto. I don't know what else it would mean.
Unless it's if I'm not mistaken, he did work with handicaps people as well. Unless they're saying it is a full access for even like special needs and stuff like that.
It is. I just opened a second news article, like a different news article written about the same thing.
Okay, I was going to say, because he did do work with stuff like that.
Yes, it is handicap accessible, the first handicap accessible field.
That's dope.
It says it'll include a surface friendly for both wheelchairs and those with mobility issues, which I don't know exactly what that means as a play surface. But
it means it's going to be more solid. Kids that have like crutches they have to use to get around or stuff like that. So
I get that. I'm just curious what the actual I'm curious about the actual field surface. I understand
what it's actually made of.
Yeah,
I would bet it's some sort of rubber.
There's a video,
like a high composite rubber that's a little more stiff.
Yeah, like a track, like a running track.
Almost like a running track, but maybe a little more firm, so that the wheelchairs can get across it easily.
Yeah. Also, apparently, it's being dedicated on what would have been his 44th birthday, which is cool as well. But yeah, anyway, just a cool story and one I did not know about. we'll just gloss over that.
No, we're
Wade
not.
Miley threw a no-hitter on Friday after
Nope.
we finished recording.
Was it against your Indians? Is that why?
Maybe.
Again?
There's no way to know, really, who it was against.
Bro, my thing is how many times are we just do we just need to, like, every other week look at every single game across Major League Baseball? Because that's two. That's the Musgrove one and that one that were going on while we were streaming.
To be fair, this one happened while we were streaming, and we talked about it briefly.
I guess that's fair.
He had like a no-hitter into the 8th inning when we stopped our podcast, I believe. But yeah, so he did finish it. That is the only Indians loss in the last 10 games was a no-hitter. So
that's brutal.
Yeah. I'm actually curious if a team has, I feel like it has to have happened. Has a team been no-hit twice in one season?
Oh, that's had to have happened. I would imagine that definitely has to have happened at some point.
Okay. So it has happened. Oh, God.
Well, 3 times.
No, more than that.
I was going to laugh if it was like some absurd low number.
1, 2.
No one cares about the Astros. Just throwing that out there.
It's happened 18 times. Several of those are like 1800. 3 of those are 1800s. A couple are pre-1920. But you know what's weird is looking at the list, like a large number of the teams that had it happen to them like finished first in their division, went to the playoffs, which is really weird because that would mean, you know, they're pretty good teams getting no hit twice. But anyway,
all I've got to say is it doesn't surprise me that teams that do well get no hit. Because and the reason I say that is law of averages.
Now, the Tampa Bay Rays are the only MLB team to get no hit 3 times
in one season.
2010. 3 times in one season.
They're the only team?
Only team in the history of baseball to be no hit 3 times in a season.
That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That could you imagine being on that team and being like, well, this shit's happening again. It's happening again.
And 2 of those 3 were perfect games.
Wait, they gave up 2 to who?
The first one was the no-hitter was to Edwin Jackson in 20. These were all in 2010.
Okay.
Edwin Jackson of the Diamondbacks. And then the 2 perfect games were Mark Burley for the White Sox and Dallas Braden for the A's.
Oh, man. Dallas Braden's a pitching coach, I think, now.
I remember him being a decent pitcher.
He was good he had a short window where he was really good, but then he was very mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Outside of that.
Like all Oakland players.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I can't. Besides like Johnny Damon and Jason Giambi, I can't think of many A's players who had like a good career for a long time.
Okay.
I'm sure they exist.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't name you a ton because I'm not really an A's fan.
Yeah, I'm sure they exist, but I can't.
Next week, I'm going to come at you with a whole list because I know there's quite a few that have had actually pretty accomplished careers.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey, and I'm gonna bring my list of all the like 5 people that have had good careers after.
Great quote, by the way. I love that movie. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
On to the next
Moving
one.
on.
So there's been a lot of COVID. I don't know. My local radio has been talking a lot about it. I've been seeing it a lot. A lot of teams are getting hit with bouts of COVID, even though a lot of them are vaccinated.
Yeah.
And the Padres have actually lost more than just Fernando Tatis Jr., who is now on the list. I think he's coming off soon because he's already been vaccinated. I don't think they have to wait the full 2 weeks if they've been vaccinated.
I'm not sure.
I
know he
wrong
just
on
went on like 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days.
So I'm not really sure
But they're having a bunch of like coaches and he's not the only player from them, but he is definitely the most notable.
Yeah.
But it's happening kind of all over the place right now. It's like
I know I saw JT Realmuto from the Phillies is out with COVID. There was now I'm not gonna remember. There was at least one other like bigger name I saw.
Yeah, it's coming through, but I mean, what can you do? Like I said, Corbin Burns was on for 2 weeks and he just came off.
Gleyber Torres, the Yankees shortstop, just got taken out too.
I think this is just something we're going to see all year. People are going to go down for a week or two. But I also think this is going to make the season really interesting.
You're going to have a lot of prospects playing.
Well,
now, I think later in the year too, I think that's going to, as more people get vaccinated and all that, you're not really going to see many COVID cases by the end of the year, hopefully.
Hopefully. I think that this is going to make things interesting because I think good teams are going to fall behind, like the Dodgers are doing right now. The Padres are doing right now. Like, yes, my Giants are in first. I'm super stoked. It's really cool. But when everybody's healthy,
game lead too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They lost today, so I don't know if I think the Dodgers are still playing.
As of right now, I looked earlier. As of right now, they have a 2-game lead on the Padres, 2.5 on the Dodgers.
Okay, yeah. I expect that when those teams get healthy and the COVID stuff slows down a little bit, that they're going to catch back up and they're going to blow us out the water. But if people keep going down 1 at a time, 2 at a time, like the Giants might, if they can somehow stay healthy. And honestly, the Giants haven't been super healthy. They've just had Farhan Zaidi. All praise Farhan, I guess. Because this guy is built depth upon depth upon depth. Which I'll get into more for a big topic. But I think that's what a lot of teams are going to struggle with this year is this COVID thing. And it's going to hit their stars and they're not going to have a whole lot to back them up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. But... yeah, I mean, hopefully, I know it's working out well for the Giants right now, but, like, I don't know. I'd rather see, the top players playing, obviously, but...
Are you telling me that Mike Tauchman isn't a top player?
I don't even know who that is.
It's okay. We just picked him up from the Yankees like a week ago. I don't even fucking know who he is. That was the joke.
I was like, I've never even heard that name, I don't think. But yeah, so hopefully there isn't a lot of COVID because, obviously we don't want COVID to exist anymore. But also, yeah, like I said, everybody wants to see the top players play. So moving on, I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't see the collision, no.
So there was a pop-up, like basically right at home plate. And I don't know if you've seen Jose Abreu, but the dude is a monster.
I definitely have.
He's like 6'5", like probably a solid 280, and like not fat at all. And so he's running down the first baseline, and the Hunter Dozier like hit it up in the air, and then like looked down and like threw his bat down. And then started running to first. So by that time, the catcher had already popped out of his stance and gone up the first baseline. So Abreu's running in, the catcher's running out. Dozier has his head down, looks up, and the catcher was right on the baseline trying to catch the ball. And so he like kind of like puts his head down and like ducks around him. and Jose Abreu just full sprint was right on the other side of the catcher, and Hunter Dozier had his head down, and they just plowed into each other, and it's bad.
That's crazy.
It was a really bad collision, but yeah, Jose Abreu's day to day. Hunter Dozier went to the IL with a concussion, I believe, but it was like an MLB hit or NFL hit.
That's brutal.
Like, but yeah, it was just a really weird play and like not something you see all the time. And yeah, I kind of can't believe that either one is okay. But
yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
little bummed. I like seeing the collisions. I like seeing the crazy stuff
in
baseball.
I put a link.
I mean, I don't want.
Yeah.
Does it actually have the video for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the link I posted in the chat. If you're on YouTube watching later, then it'll pop up in the middle, and you can copy it down or just search for Jose Abreu Hunter Dozier collision. I'm sure it'll pop up. But
first thing. But that, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like seeing collisions because I don't want to see people get hurt. But I also kind of secretly like collisions, just like you like watching people fall off of stairs. Right. And
of course, like videos of people getting hit in the nuts. And,
you like those just because you're like, I can feel that pain. But
it's the same as like I get terrified when a ball gets hit back at the pitcher.
Oh yeah.
But I also always want to see the video of it.
Speaking of that, did you see the crazy ass double play that was started by the pitcher literally catching the ball behind his head like this?
No.
Oh, bro,
I missed that one.
I'm gonna see if I can find the video and I'll put it in the chat.
All right. Yeah, I'll go on to the next one while you're trying to find it. Albert Pujols officially cleared waivers, which means that he is officially a free agent, which will be real interesting to see where he goes, if he goes anywhere. I feel like someone's got to give him a shot. Right?
Someone will, right?
How you have to, even if it's just for the rest of the season, as a DH or something. I don't know. But yeah, something to keep an eye on.
Honestly, I'll just touch on it real quick because I said my piece last week about that situation. I think they did him dirty, and I hope he goes somewhere that does him right. I honestly hope he goes back to the Cardinals.
I did see this play.
Did you? Oh yeah, it was a dope play.
I forgot when you said it. I was thinking like caught a line drive behind his head. That's why I wasn't.
Yeah, it was like this crazy. Like he was just like
Yeah, that was nuts. He would just like as he's backing up, just it was cool. But yeah. If he goes to the Cardinals, it'll be interesting. I really think he'll go American League and just DH because I don't know. Honestly, I think he'll go wherever he can get an offer because I don't know that he's gonna get that many.
I think his pride will push him to take whatever offers are out there.
Yeah.
But I do think he will end up in a St. Louis Cardinals uniform again before he retires.
I think if it's not now, then I think the only way that happens is if they sign him to like a one-day spring training contract just so he can retire a Cardinal. Because I don't think he'll play again after this. I think he's done after this year.
That wouldn't surprise me, but I think he will be in a Cardinals uniform when he retires.
Yes, I agree with that. I think he's one of those players that earned getting to retire with the team he chooses. Plus, those are like, they don't even pay him anything. It's a one-day $0 contract.
And honestly, as a Cardinal head exec, what do you have to lose to pay the guy $10,000?
Right. I mean, that's free publicity.
Yeah,
and it looks great for your team.
That's what I mean.
Fans will love it.
you're gonna make 10 times that amount of money by doing it. So what does it matter even if you do pay him a little bit?
I'd say that. I'm actually really curious how St. Louis fans view Albert Pujols. Because he left them for more money. Like, he didn't, like, get traded or anything. Like, he just left because he wanted more money. So I'm actually really curious if St. Louis fans like Albert Pujols.
Oh, that's a good point. Because, like...
I never really thought about it.
Like, if Buster Posey in his prime just was like, yeah, fuck you guys, I'm going to go take the money, I probably wouldn't be as much of a fan as I am. But he also, in his early career, he hit greatness, but it wasn't like Albert Pujols. So it was like an extended,
well, right,
10
of course.
So maybe the attachment is a little different, but ooh, that's a good question though.
Maybe I'll have to put out something on like Reddit and see what people say, because I never thought about it until just now. Because like I have like being a Cleveland fan, I mean obviously the first one that everyone thinks of is LeBron, but like in the 90s, the Indians had so many good players, and almost all of them left for more money. We had Jim Thome, Albert Bell, Manny Ramirez, like all those guys left Cleveland for more money, and like most of Cleveland doesn't really like those guys that much, except Jim Thome for some reason. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I'd probably understand that mindset a little more if I was an A's fan, because it's very similar with the A's. Anybody who was any good was only with the A's for a couple years.
Yeah.
But as more of a Giants fan, where we have paid everybody that has done anything significant for us, it's hard to understand that mindset. Like what you would feel when someone like that is clearly a star just leaves for more money. Like, as the Warriors did it, like, I don't even think the Warriors, even when I was growing up, ever really had a ton of stars. And when they did have some stars, you get the We Believe team, and they almost, like, I don't know. They all kind of separated, but it wasn't, like, sustained success. It'd be like Steph Curry leaving after this year and going to, like, the Lakers.
Right.
I guess would be the best way.
I found video of Pujols' first at bat in St. Louis, which actually just happened 2 years ago. His first at bat since he left. No, he got a standing ovation from literally every fan in the crowd.
Okay, then yeah, they'd love him. Go sign him a one-day contract, let him retire. But that's a good point.
It took me a minute to find it, but apparently he's only played there once since he became an Angel.
But that's a different mindset that, like, now I'm thinking, like, what would I think if Curry just decided to go, like, join LeBron in LA?
Yeah.
I'd probably be like, fuck the trader. Like, thank you for getting us a couple titles, but...
Well, yeah. To be fair, that helps a lot when you won a championship. Because the second time LeBron left, everyone's like,
yeah, we're
good. Like, yeah, we weren't happy about it, but like, we got a championship. Like, it's fine.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, so yeah, that we went a little off topic there. But, moving on. This is a quick one, but MLB and ESPN reached a deal to keep the MLB on ESPN through 2028, which I didn't realize that their contract was about to expire after this year.
I didn't.
And there would have been no more baseball on ESPN.
Okay.
But
I'm going to say this, but would we even be mad if it wasn't on ESPN?
No, I actually baseball is the only sport where I dislike having national broadcasts.
I was going to say, every time the Giants are on ESPN and they're on local TV, I always watch the local broadcast. I don't ever watch ESPN. The only time I watch ESPN is when it's a game that I can't see elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. If it's only on national.
Yeah, like teams that I would never get because of my local TV.
Yeah, which, by the way, if you watch a YouTube baseball game, I don't know if you know, they have like a free game of the week or a YouTube game of the week.
I actually didn't know that. I know football did something similar with Twitch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Twitch just rebroadcast the actual game on like whatever channel it was going to be on.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like Thursday Night Football, so it was like CBS and Twitch, but it was the same broadcast for both.
Oh, I thought it was different commentators for the Twitch
Mhm.
stuff. Oh, okay, okay.
The YouTube is it's basically like a nationally televised game, so it's just on YouTube. And the announcers are horrible.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say the announcers are awesome, and I was
It's
about to go check it out.
so bad. It's
Really?
one of the worst broadcasts I've ever watched in my life. I turned the game off, and it was the Indians. Like, I turned off the Indians game because I couldn't listen to them anymore. Like, it was bad. I was
That's-
not happy.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Anyway, yeah, that was. I just was curious if you had seen it. You
No,
can you
no.
can look them up because they're on the MLB channel on YouTube. They like have every previous game
Okay, I'm gonna go sub.
that's been broadcast.
I'm gonna go sub to that channel tonight on our YouTube.
Okay.
That way, I can pull it up every once in a while because I do
Yeah.
kind of want to see what their broadcast is like.
And it's also weird because there's no commercials, but then the broadcasters don't talk during between innings.
Like
So
at
it's
all?
just no. So it's like 3 or 4 minutes of just dead air with like a wide shot of the
Wait,
field.
they don't play music or anything?
No.
Oh, bro, how hard is it to put like a backing track to it or something?
I mean, if you watch on MLB TV, it's like they show like highlights from previous seasons and like stuff like that. Like it's cool instead of ads, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, there's literally nothing. It's one of the and the people don't even talk about the game 90% of the game. They're like just talking amongst themselves. It's bad.
Oh, that's
Do not
terrible.
recommend.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to
But
go watch some just so I can see it.
I don't recommend, but I recommend going back and watching like a game that's there in the,
Just
archives,
to see what
just
it
to see
is.
it.
Oh man, that's brutal. I was literally genuinely hoping you were gonna be like, no, they're like, you can tell they're younger guys or something doing something different
No.
with it, doing something creative. You know what I mean? Like having a
Nope.
dope broadcast that was just a little different than you would see on the traditional.
That would be cool. I'd be fine if it was just different, but it's just not. They're
Oh,
just not good.
that's brutal.
But the last news story of the week happened on Wednesday, I believe. Is Miguel Cabrera, who I'm pretty sure we had him last week. Hey, he passed somebody for 44th on the all-time hits list. He passed. He become number 43, passing Omar Vizquel, which I did not realize Omar Vizquel was that high on the all-time hits list.
Yeah, dude, Omar Vizquel is a G.
But he was never a great hitter. He was the best fielder.
Dude, but
like,
he played
ever.
till he was like
Well, okay,
89.
that's fair. But yeah, so Omar Vizquel was number 43, bumped him down, and Miguel Cabrera is now 43. And Vizquel was also had the most hits by a Venezuelan born player, which obviously now Miguel Cabrera takes that over as they're both Venezuelans. So yeah, just a cool piece of history there. Plus, getting to bring up Omar Vizquel is always great.
He played for 24 years.
Yeah. I love Omar Vizquel, and the fact that he is not in the Hall of Fame is a joke.
Wait, he's not?
No.
Oh, tragedy.
He's been on the ballot now for a few years, but
Well, the Giants are almost, well, they're his third most played. He
wait,
played.
I take it back. Apparently he is now.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. I thought he was.
Wait, I'm so confused. So I searched Omar Vizquel Hall of Fame. It says date of induction 2014, and then the first news article or the first link says Omar Vizquel falls short on 2021 Hall of Fame ballot. So I don't.
I don't know where to do with that.
He was still playing in 2014, wasn't he?
No,
You
he
still have it
retired
up?
after 2012.
Okay, so he wouldn't have been eligible in 2014, so that can't be right.
No, he technically wouldn't be eligible. Isn't it 10 years for players? Or is it 5?
No, I think it's 5.
So then in 2017 would be his first year of eligibility.
Now you're making me.
I thought it was 10 years.
You might be right, because like Mike Piazza and Ken Griffey just got in like 3 or 4 years ago.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's 10 years for players. It's 5 years for coaches and managers and
I'm looking
front office staff.
Yeah, 10. Apparently it used to be 15.
Really? That's nuts.
Wait. This is not the same thing. Sorry. You had to have played for 15 years to be eligible. Now you only have to play for 10 years.
I didn't know there was a requirement on how long you had to play.
I didn't either. I assume there's like special addendums, I believe they would be called, where like if somebody dies or gets hurt and ends their career, I imagine that would be allowed. But
well, that happened to Holiday.
Yeah. But yeah. 5 years. 5 years for players.
Is that the addendum or is that just in general?
No, that's in general.
Okay, that's how long they have to play. Or have to
as of 1954. But yeah, so yeah, they even have in here like eligibility for death and ineligible candidates and stuff.
But either way, Miguel Cabrera climbing up the ladder. I can't believe he's only, a couple hundred hits away from having 3,000.
122.
Like,
that's
what, a season? Maybe he gets it by the end of the season, you think? Maybe two.
Probably
maybe
not this season.
Maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah. I imagine he'll play another few years still. He's still really good. One of the only Tigers who is.
But it's good for him. I love seeing guys do that.
I hate the Tigers, but it's impossible to hate Miguel Cabrera. You can literally look up videos of Miguel Cabrera, and they're like titled like Miguel Cabrera just having fun. And it's just Miguel Cabrera just like messing around with people at first base, like laughing and joking. Like he's just an awesome dude.
Okay, since we're basically done with the news, before we get, you know who my favorite MLB player is almost all time? I wouldn't say for sure all time, but he would definitely hit my top 5. But one of my, if you said who's the funnest like player to watch, either in the dugout or off the field, do you have like my person would be Hunter Pence?
Fair. Okay. I know Hunter Pence off the field because of Kind of Funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff with them. He's been on a bunch of podcasts with them. He loves gaming.
Bro, Hunter Pence is like literally like one of my favorite Giants all time. He played with the Giants for like 4 years. Or 3 years.
Wait, I thought he played a lot longer than
I don't think it was that long. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. I don't think it was that long. Although then again, every time I think someone only played with the Giants for a couple years.
Dude, yeah, he was there for like
was it 6? 8? Fuck, dude. Maybe that's why I remember him so much.
7
years, 8 years. He played
Texas.
He played here for 8 years.
Apparently, he played there last year.
Really? In 17 games?
He played 17 games for you. Yes, that's like a third of the season.
Well, admittedly, I didn't watch much of last season. But Hunter Pence is one of like that dude is a clown. I love him.
Yeah,
like he is great.
I'm sure you can look it up. For anybody who doesn't know us as people that stream games, like Kind of Funny is a gaming news site. They do podcasts and stuff, and yeah, Hunter Pence has been on there a few times because they're based in San Francisco, and I believe they said like he actually reached out to them because he was a Kind of Funny fan. Him and his wife actually is like a huge gamer. Like I'm pretty sure she streams.
Why? I remember watching literal TV commercials of him giving away gaming computers. Like I knew he was a gamer, but like the kind of funny connection literally is like short-circuiting fucking things in my head right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when the last time he was on there was, but I know for like a year or two, he was on there like at least 5 times in like a year.
How did I not know this?
Doing like, I think he did the Kind of Funny podcast with them and a few other random things.
Oh, I'm pouring my other beer. Hold on. Let's see if I can get it on camera, dude. Look at this thing.
Okay. I mean, you can tell just from the drip off the bottom of the can that it's thick. That's insane. Holy crap. That is a thick beer.
Yeah, it's literally like drinking a meal.
But yeah, I do like Hunter Pence. Thick. Multiple C's thick. But yeah, I like Hunter Pence a lot, mostly because of that. Like being in Cleveland, like I never would have had any exposure to Hunter Pence outside of that. So it's cool to see baseball players outside baseball.
That's fair.
Like just in general. But yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll get into our big topic here. Which is going to be our baseball philosophies. So we thought we'd touch on how because we have both coached. Did you just spill?
Oh, yeah, I spilled a little on my keyboard. It's okay. I'm cleaning it up. You're good.
Oh, God.
A couple of the drips hit like on top of my keys, and I'm trying to clean them up before it gets bad. Especially with something this thick.
Go get some cat litter. That's what I always use for
no,
oil
it's literally just a few drops on like a couple keys. It's not that bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so we thought with our baseball philosophies, we'd talk both like how we would, like our major league philosophies, how we would like to see organizations run, I guess would be a way to put it.
That's a good way to put it.
And then also we have both coached, so like what our coaching philosophies were or would be. So yeah, I guess let's just start with major league since we're already kind of there. So we've touched on this. I come from a small market fan base, so I think this is where we would differ the most. I am a big fan of getting value out of players. So I lean more toward like the money ball side of things. So that means, you know, if you get a star in a draft or like a prospect in a trade, like you get them to the majors later so that you don't use their eligibility, because that's a thing in baseball. and then you burn them into the ground and then trade them away when they're at their peak or when they have like a year left of their eligibility before they can hit free agency. Because that is what that's all a small market team can do in baseball. There is you can't sign good players. You just can't afford it. And it sucks.
But when you say use them completely, like, what do you mean? Just like try and literally suck as much talent as you can out of them while you can? Or do you mean like literally like as a pitcher, like pitching them until they like not subbing them out went early, just really running them down?
I mean, obviously within reason, like you're not trying to injure guys, but like the Indians traded away 3 Cy Young winners in a matter of like 10 years.
It's okay, the Indians about to trade another one away.
No, Shane Bieber's only been in the league 2 years. He's got a lot of eligibility left. He's stuck here.
He's stuck here. That's such a terrible way to put it.
That's what baseball is. You are stuck with the team that brings you up because there's literally nothing you can do.
Because what is it, 6 years, if I'm not mistaken?
I think it's 7.
Is it 7?
I think you have 4 years where you don't get, or 3 years where you don't get anything. You have to accept the contract they offer, and then you get like 4 years of arbitration, and then you can be a free agent. So I do like that. That's a good rule baseball implemented to let small market teams have a chance at keeping star players for a little while.
Yeah,
But,
and I get that.
yeah.
I
But,
mean, as a Giants fan, we're obviously not a small market team. I don't think we've ever been considered a small market team, even when we weren't paying a ton. But I also think at one point we were like top 3 in payroll.
right.
But that being said, I don't care what they do monetarily. So I've had a lot of issues. Anybody, if you want to hear me rant about the way the Giants have been doing things, just go back and listen to almost any episode, because I've gone on it at some point for any episode. I don't like the way they're winning this year. It's just not the way I enjoy watching baseball.
Your GM took a small market approach, kind of.
Well, he worked under Billy Beane with the
Right.
A's, which
Exactly.
is one
That's
of the
what I mean.
smallest markets in the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's his mindset: is build a lot of depth, build a lot of untapped talent, and hope that when you tap it, it's gonna be there.
Right.
And so far, the moves this year have worked. But especially for a bigger market team, I go pay for people. Like, you've got the money. Although, granted, the Giants are in a kind of a weird, what's it called? Like a not salary cap, because there is no salary cap in baseball, but they're the luxury tax, all that stuff. With
Yeah.
what they're
You have a
paying
lot of
people.
guys on your books that
Like,
aren't necessarily top tier, top tier players.
Our
anymore.
old guard is getting paid like top tier players, and honestly, to be fair to them, they are performing like it this year so far.
Right.
But
they haven't been in the past few
not
years.
for like the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's been tough watching them pay tons of money for guys that are just doing nothing, and no one wants to take their contracts because they're just mediocre. They've never been like terrible. Like Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford. These guys have never been like ass, but they've haven't been exceptional for a while. And this year they're showing why we paid them money. I just wish they could have gotten that the other couple years.
We have that as a future topic that maybe we could do next week, is kind of another, I guess, baseball philosophy in front offices. Or, we could get into it now if you wanted, but which is paying a player for what he's done versus what he's going to do. And it's kind of an interesting area where it's like guys work their first 7 years to get that big contract in their 8th year.
Yeah, that's true.
But if they didn't make it out of the minors until they're 25, and by the time they hit free agency, they're already 30 something, and then it's like, well, you were great, but you're going to be on the decline soon. So what kind of contract are you going to get?
That's something that I kind of disagree with. Is I remember when you used to not be old until you were like your late 30s. Like, I'm talking late 30s. Like, people, once they hit like 36, 37, then you're like, okay, they're getting kind of old. Maybe we don't want to give them a ton of money. Now it's like as soon as you hit like 31, people are like, oh man, it is on the decline. Like, that's not the case.
I think part of that is that the stars who have come up recently have come up so young that they're hitting their contracts when they're like 27. Like, guys like Bryce Harper and Francisco Lindor and, guys of that. Fernando Tatis got his huge contract when he was 21.
Yeah, because
he didn't have to wait.
that's a whole nother thing. The amount of time he put in for what he got paid, I don't understand. I'm not saying he's not a great player, and I think he's going to end up being a transcendence. A little too cliche, but I think he's going to be one of the greats
this generation, at least.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, as long as provided no injuries, hopefully he doesn't get drastically hurt. But like, to put that kind of money on the line that early in a game, it's a risk. That's a huge risk.
But if he does stay mostly healthy, I mean, you locked him up for his entire prime. Like, it is a huge risk, but if he does what people expect him to do and he stays healthy, I mean, that's a great investment if that happens.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So it's gambling. I mean, that's what any contract is, really, because like, you don't know what somebody's going to do going forward. You just base it off how old they are and what they've done in the past, and that's really all you can look at when it comes to paying a player in any sport, not just baseball.
Yeah, that contract in particular just seemed really weird to me. Because of how untested he was. Because how many players have you seen have like a flash year and then just that was it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, that franchise is around him every day. So maybe you see him and you're like, all right, I mean, there's no way this is a miss.
That's true.
Just watching him play every day, it's like, you just know. But
see, I wish the Giants would go out, and I'm hoping, as a big market fan, my philosophy is you build the crux of your team. You kind of build you get like what they're doing right now. You get all those guys that can play 4 positions and you can move them around. But then once you get a good foundation, you got to go out and pay some guys.
Yeah,
go get some 100%. Guys.
And that is where the small market teams fail, because you go out and you get guys, but they're like guys no one else wants. And I mean, on rare occasion, you get a good player. Like the Indians freaking went and got Edwin Encarnacion a few years ago, and that was a huge signing. And then they were like, "Yeah, we can't actually afford him." So like 2 years into his 4-year contract, they traded him. And it's like, why the fuck did we even go get him?
Yeah, right. Why waste the time, waste the money?
Yeah.
But that's kind of my thing is I feel like you got to build a foundation. And that's kind of my thing with any sport. You build a foundation, and then once you've got a solid foundation of guys that
then you go grab some veterans, and
then you go pay whatever you've got to pay these days, whatever time it is, to go get those guys.
Yeah.
It's the way the Warriors did it. The Warriors were a great team, and then all of a sudden they added like the best player in the world, one of them. Yeah. And then they became literally unbeatable. Well,
they didn't need almost. Well, okay, I guess they needed it. But.
Well, they didn't really need it though. I mean, it's debatable.
I mean, they lost the year before, so
they lost because Draymond Green got suspended.
Because Draymond Green's an idiot, and he got suspended the next year too.
I'm not saying he doesn't have his moments. I'm just saying if he plays in that game and the NBA just stays the fuck out of it, I think the Warriors win that one too.
You can't blame the NBA. He got warned like 5 times in that playoff run about it. And he
it's
did it
not
again.
His fault that his feet just somehow heat seek his opponent's nuts, bro. It's not his fault. It just happens.
It's funny how it doesn't happen to anyone else in the world that they kick forward when they jump. I loved that excuse. He's like, that's just how I jump. And it's like, well, if you watch any of your other shots, you don't jump that way. So
that's how he jumps when he's trying to draw a foul. That's what he should have said.
Yeah.
But that would have been, I think, a little too real for the NBA to let him say. So he just left it at what it was.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But it was funny. But yeah.
Anyway. But that's how I feel like you kind of got to go about it. As a big market team. As a small market team, you definitely have to approach it differently.
Right. And honestly, I don't know how much I like that in baseball. Like that's one of the things that has always kind of bothered me about baseball is how unfair the game is for bigger markets. Like it's just, I mean, smaller market teams win, but like the bigger your payroll, the higher your chances are. I mean,
So do
it's
you
why the
think
Yankees were a dynasty. It's why the Dodgers, I mean, they've only won one, but like they've won the NL, what, 4 years in a row?
Yeah, but I mean, what is a pennant when you're not winning the championship?
Well, I mean, I get that, but they also most of the time lost to big market teams in the AL. So
Well,
it's
I
not
mean, to be
like,
fair, the Dodgers are like the biggest market National League
yes,
team there
100%.
is. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just,
at that point, you're
well,
talking big market losing to big market. But I get what you're saying. Do you think there should be like a salary cap then for baseball, like there is in basketball, stuff like that?
I think I actually, yeah, I would be good with the basketball version where it's not a hard cap. You can go over it, but you have to pay. Um, which I don't. Maybe that doesn't solve the problem. Maybe the big market teams are like, I
I'm.
don't care. We're gonna keep paying.
I mean, that's what the Warriors did when they were on
Yeah,
their 5 year stretches. Joe
that's
Lacob,
what the yeah,
who
that's
was
what the Cavs did when it
yeah,
was the Cavs Warriors every year.
yeah. I mean, like they were paying guys $30 million for a couple years, but because they were already over the luxury tax, they were literally paying
Yeah,
60 million for that player. 30 went
right.
to the player, 30 went to the league.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
the only way I'm seeing what I don't like about that is that money doesn't get somehow funneled to the smaller market teams to help pay players, as far as I know.
no. I think
Um,
uh, I'm actually not sure if luxury tax goes straight to the league or because I know like when players get fined in I'm pretty sure all three major sports, the fines go to directly to charities,
oh, that's cool.
which
I
is
actually didn't know
awesome.
that.
Yeah. I know the NFL and NBA do it. I'm pretty sure baseball does it. Um, but yeah, yeah, any fines. That's why like there's a bunch of NFL players who will wear like custom cleats for a charity because they know that they're gonna give their money to a charity. So they
Oh,
like
okay.
promote the charity with their cleats, even though it's against the rules, and then they just pay the fine.
It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm not even mad.
right. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure baseball does it too. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. I assume the luxury tax goes to the league and stays in the league.
I would assume so, but it would be nice to see that money go towards some of the smaller market teams so that they
Yeah,
could afford the bigger contracts for some of these guys that maybe on their own they couldn't afford.
yeah. See, and now I don't know if the NFL system where it's a hard cap would work because,
There's too many. I think
like,
there's too many. Well, but then football has way more players. I feel like than
true,
baseball
but
does.
like, if you set the cap at like 80 million, like, there's a lot of small market teams that can't afford 80 million. Like,
That's
they're
true.
still not going to pay that. So I don't know what and you can't set it too low because then the players aren't going to get paid and they're going to be pissed.
You're not wrong
So.
there.
I don't know how I feel like baseball has dug itself too deep of a hole to switch to a salary cap at this point. Like I don't know how you would switch over because the players are going to get paid less and small market teams are still going to be underfunded. So
Yeah, I don't. You're probably right with that, but I do wish there was some sort of cap
it,
because when a team can afford to pay one player as much as almost as much as an entire other team's full payroll, that seems a bit unfair.
yeah. I'm actually curious now that you said that. Uh the highest paid player in baseball
Mike, no, it's not Mike Trout.
is Trevor Bauer.
How much is he making?
$40 million this year.
Wait, isn't that what? Or no, I think maybe Mike Trout's at 35.
Apparently, Trevor Bauer's contract is 3 years, $102 million.
That's nuts.
And apparently it's front loaded because he gets 40 mil this year. Mike
That's
Trout's
crazy.
37.1 this year.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So 40 million. MLB payrolls 2021.
I don't think anybody's under 40 million.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't think even Pittsburgh is that low. And Pittsburgh, I think, is the smallest market.
Well, first of all, Cleveland is the lowest salary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Number one in the division, lowest salary.
Hey.
I'm just saying. Okay, hold on. Let me see this. Okay. So all right. That was not for, I actually don't know what that was for. 2021 total payroll. The Cleveland Indians are the lowest by 6 million. Like, it's not even close. And we are paying just over 50 million. So
that's what I'm saying.
Pretty damn close.
I mean, you're not far off, but at the same point, like, when it's that close, that's unfair.
Right.
It just is. When one team can offer one player almost as much as you're paying your whole team, like,
the Dodgers payroll is literally 5 times ours.
Yeah, that's insane. But I don't know how
and
you fix it.
The Dodgers payroll is 50 million more than number 2.
That's crazy.
So their payroll is, the difference between number 1 and number 2 is the Indians' entire payroll. And the Yankees are 3rd in their division, and the Dodgers are also 3rd in their division.
But that brings us back to kind of our philosophy. Like, that's why me and you have very different fundamental philosophies on how you build a professional team, at least. Because I would bet the Giants are top 10.
The Giants are 12th.
Oh, actually, I'm surprised.
They are 100 million less than the Dodgers.
And we're beating the Dodgers.
Three times more than the Indians.
Yeah. But even still, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And I would consider the Giants a big market team. Maybe not like as big as some of the biggest, but obviously. But we're a big market team. San Francisco is a huge market.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's no way, if you take where the Indians are and the Giants are, there's no way we're going to think about building a team the same way, because I'm going to be like, just go pay the guy.
Right, of course. Yeah,
I got that rich man syndrome. Just pay him.
I'm trying to think. The only player on the Indians roster who the Indians didn't bring up from a prospect who's like a mate or didn't trade for it, like when they were first starting in the league, is Jose Ramirez. He's the only guy where we signed to a long-term contract, and we signed him when he was like good, not great, and now he's like a perennial MVP candidate.
Gotta love that, right?
Yeah, I think we signed him through we have him for the next 4 years or something at 13 or 14 million a year.
Oh, that's a steal.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what small markets have to do, is they have to find those diamonds in the rough and pay them enough early to get them enticed, but not so much that you can't afford it down the road.
I think, yeah, okay, so we kind of talked about the Dodgers paid for what players did. Or I'm sorry, not the Dodgers, the Giants.
Yeah.
And I think the small market teams have to gamble more and gamble on what a player could be, and offer them a long-term contract based on what they hope they can, their ceiling is.
See, that's fair, and I wish that the Giants had taken that approach.
Yeah.
I wish that they had, okay, this is where we're at. They did great, but where are we going to be? What are they going to do in the field? Because, I don't know, it's not just baseball. All professional sports it's a what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's just kind of the
And
nature
I
of
mean,
sports.
I think that's, I mean, maybe we will do a whole topic about that, about what have you done for me lately versus what are you going to do for me in the future. But I think that's kind of fair in terms of like if somebody was good and they haven't performed over the last few years, it's fine to not pay them that or pay them what they have done. But we can get more in depth with that at another time.
So we've gone kind of over our basic like what we think major league
Right.
teams kind of should
As
do.
a front office,
Yeah.
how you would build it, how your philosophy would be to build a team.
But now let's go a little bit more granular. Let's get a little bit farther down the tree. If you were coaching a team, what is your ideal how do I word this? Your ideal makeup of how your team is formed, both defensively and offensively?
So I think you and me will agree on most of this based on our previous episodes, but I'm a big small ball guy. Like I don't need guys to hit home runs. If you can bunt guys over, bunt them over, hit them in. So I love teams that are built on speed and stealing bases and stuff like that. Like I love small ball and I hate that the league got away from it. But and defensively, yeah, coaching defense, it's all about fundamentals, and I think defense is the only place where fundamentals is still important in Major League Baseball. Like offensively, you don't see guys hit the ball the other way, bunt the ball. Like that doesn't exist in baseball today. But that's my how I would build a team, or how I would like to see a team, be coached.
Okay. So overview for me, I'll do a quick 30,000 foot view. Is defensively, I like guys that are good at what they do. I don't necessarily need 20 guys that can play every position.
Right.
I need specialists with a handful of rotational guys that I can put in a couple different spots. That's how I envision my defense. Is I like to have everyday guys that I can rely on to do their job. Your job is to play shortstop, and that is it. I don't need you to play shortstop, right field, left field, third base. Just get good at what you do and try not to make any mistakes, obviously. But I do feel like every defensive team does need 3 to 5 utility guys that could play second, short, and third if they need. Guys that can play left, center, and right. I think you need a couple of those at the very least to fill out your defense. Offensively, I do agree with you. I love small ball, but I also think you need one big bat, and I'm talking like big bat, and in my opinion, you need one like fairly decent bat, like as far as like power goes.
Yeah.
I think if you have those two things and you fill the rest of the roster, obviously, with guys that can get on base. I mean, obviously, not everybody's going to hit well. So, you sprinkle in a couple bad guys in there for your later in, your 8, 9s. Maybe you mix it up, because I like to mix up lineups a lot, where I put I'll bat the pitcher 8th instead of 9th, and I'll put a guy that can get on base and is really fast as my 9th place hitter. We used to do that in high school all the time. Stuff like that I really like to do offensively, but I do think that you, on top of just kind of a general small ball lineup, I think you need one big kahuna to be otherworldly successful, to be actually go World Series level. And I think you need one that can hit for power, but maybe doesn't always.
Okay. I think okay. So I think it does depend. Like you and I have both coached, and we both coached high school level. So I think in high school, it's less important to have a power guy than like a major league team. Like it's still good to have, of course, but I maybe it's just like my team that I coached and when I played in high school, like we never really had a big home run guy. Like, and our field was major league size. Like it was 405 to center.
That's
And high
vicious
school,
for high school.
yeah. And like I think it was like 350 down one line and like 345 down the other. Like it was pretty symmetrical.
Okay, so you
So,
had
like,
like
we
really
had-
tight corners, but a really deep center.
Yeah, I mean 345, 350 is like that's what most major league stadiums are.
Really, because a lot of our fields out here, are maybe right on par. I think we have a couple fields out at the high school level out here that are like 320, 330 to one corner, and the other corner is like 360, 3-ish. But then you have like a 390 center field. So it's not as like steep of an arc, but it's more like a flatter kind of outfield.
So the Indian Stadium progressive field is 325 to left and right. Now, the Indian Stadium in left field does have a 20-foot wall, but right field's a normal like 7-8 foot wall.
It seems short to me.
What's I'm just gonna call it AT&T Park. I'm sure it'll find it.
It's Oracle Park right now. Is what
Cole?
What was that?
What did you say?
Oracle.
Oracle. That's right, because they own Golden State and
Yeah.
okay. Oracle Park is 339 to left and 365 to right, but that's because you have the bay there.
I was gonna say, to be fair though, right field has like a 25-foot easy wall.
Yeah.
And our right center is like 409 feet.
Well, yeah, your center is insane. Well, actually, the dead center is 399.
Yeah, our right center is farther than our dead center.
Yeah, right center is 421.
Is it 421? I thought it was 409. I thought that those might be old numbers. I think they changed the field this year and they brought it in.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. That maybe I'm just thinking they brought it in more than they did.
Right center field triples alley is 415.
Yeah,
down from 421. So yeah, that was the old numbers, but still, I mean, not huge. Not huge in comparison to what I was saying our high school field was.
That's very true. That's very true.
But yeah, so like in high school, I think our number one home run hitter hit like 6.
I mean, to be fair though, when you're talking about your field, you have a field that's bigger than a lot of major league fields.
Right. So maybe that's why I think the way that I do. Because when I coached for my high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we played on the same field. And most of the fields in our division that we played in were very similar in size. Like myself, everyone thought I was a power hitter. Like I only hit like 2 home runs my entire high school career. But I batted like 350 or something.
So, funny thing about me is I'm not a big dude. Like, well, I'm a big dude, but I'm not a tall guy. Like, I'm only about like 5'8", 5'9". In high school when I played, I was only about, I don't know, I want to say maybe 5'4". Like, I was a really short freshman, sophomore, because I stopped playing after that.
Yeah.
But as a freshman, I hit literally the only home run I have ever hit in my entire baseball career. I'm talking all the way down to Little League. I've hit 1 home run.
Even like no like Little League homers where you
Well, maybe some like T-ball homers where you hit it and everyone's just kind of like playing in the dirt.
I'm talking like little league homers where like the field doesn't have a fence and the ball just rolls.
No, I'm everywhere I played solid fences.
Okay.
And they were not big, but not small. I was always a small kid. So power was never my thing. But as a freshman, we went up against a JV squad in a really fun scrimmage at a squad that we were way overmatched. It's the only time I ever hit a home run. And motherfucker, people talk about hating the bat flip. I was running around in those them bases, fucking my first home run. Let's go. They're looking at me like, really God, act like you've been here before. I'm like, well, I haven't been here before. Maybe I'll act like that next time.
Yeah.
It was the only home run I ever hit, but I hit like 700 my freshman year.
Nice.
So for me, power hitting is always great, but it's why small ball has always been more appealing to me because that's always been kind of my thing.
Same. Yeah, it's funny because I'm kind of the opposite. I was, by my freshman year in high school, I was already 6 foot, and I was in much better shape than I am now.
Wait, you're telling me you're not in great shape?
I am not. But no, I was like 6 foot and probably like 190, 200 pounds. And like, I started working out when I was like 12 or 13 with my brother. So like, I was in good shape and I was tall and everyone was like, oh, he's going to be a power hitter. And I'm like, I've never hit for power. Like, that's not who I am. Like, I'll bat 400 for you, but I'll hit the ball. I'll slap the ball over the first baseman's head and pull it down the left field line, but I'm never hitting it over the outfielders.
Were you a righty or lefty?
I actually bat switch.
Okay.
Not naturally. I taught myself to bat left-handed. I'm naturally a righty.
I tried to bat switch and my coaches told me no.
I went to batting cages for like a month straight for like an hour a day, just batting lefty.
It wasn't because I couldn't hit left-handed because I'm right-handed naturally. It wasn't because I couldn't hit. They just didn't want to let me.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those like, no, we just need you to hit right-handed. That's what you do. Just keep doing that.
I did it in 8th grade. I went like every day to the batting cages almost, and just I wouldn't let myself bat righty. I just did nothing but left-handed. And then when I went to high school, they were like, oh, you can bat switch. And I'm like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, sure. Let's do this. Let's do this. That's so funny.
But yeah, it was not a natural thing. And it actually started because it really started because I like really hurt my shoulder. So I couldn't do a lot of things right-handed for like 6 months. So I had to learn how to do stuff left-handed, and I'm like, well, I'm learning how to do all this stuff. I wonder if I can learn how to hit left-handed.
Hey, you're gonna be the next ambidextrous player,
right?
Be the Andy. What's his name? I can't even remember his name, so I'm not gonna.
But yeah, the pitcher that both.
That shit was funny the first time he went in with the switch hitter.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, I know. I'm sure you saw the video where he's like out on the mound.
And they keep switching back.
The batter switches, so he switches, and then the batter switches, and then they had to make a whole rule based around that so that you could only switch so many times before you were stuck.
Yeah, but that's one thing I cannot do. I cannot throw left-handed. I've tried, and I look like an idiot trying to throw left-handed.
I am with you with that one. I've tried, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, But yeah, so I think just like you were saying, because I always was an average, like a hit for average player, I never really like cared about power, and nobody on my team was ever a power hitter. So we had a lot of guys who would bat over 300 and take the ball the other way, bunt guys over. Like that's just how my teams were always made up. So that's what I coached.
That's fair. We had a few guys when I played that were definitely more on the power spectrum of the side. We had a couple guys. I think we had one guy hit like 12 home runs over the year, and one guy hit like, I want to say like it was like 15 or 20, somewhere in that range.
Now, okay, go on.
And this is in high school when you only play 15. Like no, it was closer to 20 games. It was closer to 20 games, 25 games. It wasn't a ton though.
Right.
But we did have a couple guys that pretty regularly left the yard. I grew up and my cousins all played, which I think we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago.
That didn't look good.
We're just going to leave that where it is at the moment.
Okay.
I accidentally getting used to things in new places.
Kick the tripod?
Yeah, I kicked the tripod. But we'll leave that there for now. But when my cousins, when I was in junior high, my cousins were in high school, he played, and a bunch of the guys he played with actually went and played some minor league ball. I don't think any of them actually made a big club. But they had a guy that literally would hit the ball like 400 feet as a junior in high school.
Yeah.
It was nuts. Yep. Like we would go to games and I would just wait for him to go yard.
Yeah. I think I mentioned last week or the week before that I played against a kid in my town who got drafted by the Indians. And yeah, that dude, in 25 games roughly, hit like 30 home runs the one year.
Yeah, that's
like
nuts.
It was insane. Like literally multiple a game. I mean, he hit 2 off of me, so
but
I was like,
yeah. So I've always been like you said, I've always been hit for average. So I've always leaned more towards that style, but at the same time, I can definitely appreciate and definitely feel like you need someone who can hit for power. But if you don't have it, you make do with what you have, especially as a coach. Like, I think that's what a lot of coaches maybe get wrong is they try to force kids into things that they're not good at just for the sake of getting that skill set into their lineup, whether that's hitting or defensively, stuff like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
I will say this. We can talk about our coaching philosophy, but I think the best coaches are the coaches that, recognize what a player can do and tries to get the most out of those attributes. So, like if your team doesn't have a power hitter, don't try to make someone hit for power. Like try to work around that. Like that's always been that's always what I've thought the best coaches do is figure out what their players can do and kind of set their lineups around that.
Yeah,
as opposed
I agree.
to trying to force players into a role.
Me and my buddy would literally, after practice, when we were getting ready to set a lineup, we'd go to his house because I usually go to his house, park my car, and we would both kind of carpool up because we live about 20, 30 minutes away from the high school we coached at. Well, closer to 30, but so we would usually go together if we could. And we would get back to his house at the end of the night and literally sit in his truck for hours sometimes and be like, how are we going to do this? Like, and not because the kids we had were like terrible, but like, where do we want to put people? Do we want to mix the schedule? Do we want to mix the lineup up? Do we want to put kids in different spots? Or do we think they're good where they're at and they just need to develop where they are? Because sometimes you can put someone in a leadoff spot, for example, and like you can see in them that they can do it. They just haven't quite, like it hasn't clicked yet.
Right.
And you're like, well, do I stick with them there or do I just put someone else there who maybe has that mindset but maybe isn't quite as potentially as good as what we think you could be? And that's a delicate balance, I feel.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention too, like when you're talking about high school kids, like you got to get everybody at bats, and like you're not trying to like have kids sit on the bench every single game. Like you got to get everybody in.
We had a couple.
Like, Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there's players who are you're like, man, you shouldn't be
Well,
playing.
to be fair, we didn't have a freshman team. It was just JV varsity. So we were, I mean, granted, I jumped in a little after the teams got selected, but
Yeah.
from my understanding, they weren't allowed to cut people even if they wanted to.
Yeah. That's how my high school was as well.
See, when I
But
played, we had a freshman JV varsity and people got cut. Like, like viciously cut. Like movie style, like you went up and checked to make sure you were good, and then you went out to practice.
You know what's funny is that my high school was so like did not care about baseball that like we were trying to get people to come play.
Well, to
Like
be
we
fair,
had freshman JV varsity, but like we had like 11 kids per team,
yeah,
maybe 12.
And to be fair, where I played is not where I coached. So the mentality of when I played was much different than where I was at when I coached. Just so that anybody who might be listening might understand. Like where I played and it was pretty strict. We actually had an ex-pro player would come every once in a while. I think at one of my points, we had a guy from the Expos on one of their minor league teams come out and do a couple practices with us and teach us hitting and stuff. Like, it was pretty, like, the school probably couldn't give two shits about the baseball team, but, like, the guys that were running the baseball program were very dedicated and fairly connected.
Yeah, I coached at the high school I graduated from, and it was a football school. Like that nobody cared about baseball. So like I honestly don't remember a single person coming to a baseball game in my 4 years. Like not just for me, for everybody on the team who wasn't a parent.
Like not even family or anything, or
like no, just parents.
Wow. We had
like,
people
come. I don't even remember like people's girlfriends coming to the games.
Oh, that's brutal. See, we had people come when I was playing.
Yeah,
like hardcore people would
I remember my parents coming, and that's literally about it.
I actually was driving to drop because like I work for the school district that I went to school in. And I went to drop some or pick some stuff up at the school I went to high school with, and there was a baseball game going. The stands were full, and there was parking on the upper parking. So the field is like right here, and then center field and right field, there's like a wall of dirt, and then there's like the juniors parking.
Okay.
So like parents park on the top of that with their trucks and whatnot, and they just sit in their vehicles and watch the games. And that was full, literally side to side from center to right.
That's crazy to me.
It was nuts, dude. I was like, man, do I even want to drop this off and pick this up, or do I just want to stop for like 5 or 10 minutes and watch some high school ball? Yeah.
My high school baseball field, we actually had a really nice field that they built while we were there. Like grass infield and everything. But I don't think there were even stands because nobody came. Like I'm pretty sure you had to like bring a, folding chair and stuff.
That's terrible. We had stands for sure.
Like, yeah, because they weren't gonna pay for stands if nobody was gonna come. Like,
yeah, like I said, the school itself didn't give two shits about our baseball program, but like our area was very much at the time, and apparently still kind of is, a baseball program. And part of that is because we have a former World Series winner that lives pretty close by that goes over there. And you know who else? Fun fact, Trent Dilfer.
Really?
Trent Dilfer went to my high school. Obviously, I think he's in his 40s now, so it was like probably
at least, if not 50s.
Yeah, he's there probably 10 years ago or 20 years before I went there. But yeah, he went to my high school. The field of the high school I went to is actually named after his son who passed away.
Dang, nice. That's crazy.
Do you know a pitcher by the name of Mark Eichhorn?
Doesn't sound familiar.
He played, if I'm not mistaken, it was for Montreal. I'm gonna look it up real quick. But yeah, he's the parent who frequents that school, and honestly, he might be involved now. When I was a kid, he wasn't. But his kids, as they got older, because they were like, I want to say 5-10 years younger than me. When they went through, they obviously got scouted, went to college. I think a couple of them played minor league ball before they were done.
Okay.
But yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah, we had literally nobody. I don't think there was a single famous person came out of my high school in the history of my high school.
Oh wow, yeah. See, that's funny. But Mark Eichhorn, he played 11 years in the bigs. 6 for Toronto. Where did he win his World Series? That's what I want to know. I think it was with Toronto. That's what I want to say.
That would make sense. They were pretty good a while back.
I'm pretty sure it was with Toronto because all of his postseason stuff is with Toronto.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure it was with Toronto. I'm not going to look much deeper, but yeah. So he's been around. I think he still actually goes around the baseball program there. So there's a little bit of, World Series / professional experience that kind of ekes its head at where I went to high school, which is why I think our program, even though the school probably couldn't care less, it was still a thing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I do think that's regional too. Like, in warm weather areas like California, baseball is going to be bigger. Whereas, in Ohio, you can only play baseball like 5 months out of the year, if that.
But you don't want to play in the snow?
What?
You don't want to play in the snow?
I have. I have had games in the snow. I mean, several times.
Miguel Cabrera hit the first home run of the season in the snow.
That's true. That was actually in Detroit, not Cleveland, but
I know, I'm just saying. It's in the snow.
I'm pretty sure almost every single school year we had at least one game snowed out at the beginning of the year.
That's nuts.
There was my family sent me pictures from Ohio. This past Sunday, Mother's Day, it snowed on May 7th or whatever it was. What was Sunday? May 8th, it snowed. Or no, May 9th, it snowed in Ohio.
For real?
Like several inches accumulated on the ground.
May 8th. That was
that was 5 days ago.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Like that's one of the later snows, but in April it snows pretty regularly.
Oh, that's nuts.
But, yeah. So I mean, I think, places like Florida, Texas, California, like those places are really well known for producing baseball players because those places can play year round.
There's a lot actually, like within, I would say 2 to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of me, there's been a lot of professional players.
Yeah.
Fremont, California produces a lot of professional players. I think Kevin Franzen is one I can think of off the top of my head. Probably, I mean, not a superstar, but he was a great journeyman. He played for the Giants, played for a few other teams, obviously, but
I always disliked when people were like, yeah, he wasn't really that good. And I'm like, the dude made it to the major leagues. Like, he was pretty damn good.
I don't think people understand what it takes to make it to professional baseball.
No, I think more than any other sport, because not only do you have to get a spot on a minor league team, like if you're not like a top tier, like top draft pick, you got to grind for like 7 or 8 years to make it out of the minors.
At least 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
We have a guy right now who is a relief pitcher for us. His name is Tyler Rogers. I think he just got the save the other day. They lost tonight, but yesterday I think he got the save. He was in the minors for 8 years. It was 7. I think it was 8 years. And the Giants pulled him up last year, and he's been pitching killer ever since. But I mean, that's 8 years in the minors.
Right. Yeah, it's nuts. It's a grind to make it to the major leagues if you're not like a can't miss prospect who gets drafted. Like there's a huge amount of MLB players who don't get drafted.
Do you think that the misconception comes because of football?
Yeah.
Like literally and only football?
Yes. Because I think basketball, well, maybe basketball too, because like even rookies in basketball, like even if you're not an all-star right away, like rookies who are, you know who you drafted in in baseball, because you're not the best players in baseball who get drafted, you're still not going to see for 5 years.
That's very fair. That's honestly very fair. 5 years is probably generous.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, at that point, if you get drafted at 18, you're 23 when you make the majors. That's still really young for Major League Baseball as a rookie. Like, there's a few players who've done it. Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, like, those guys came up when they were, like, 21. But those guys are, like, well, especially Mike Trout, but Bryce Harper is good. But, I mean, those guys were touted as, like, once-in-a-generation prospects. Same with Fernando Tatis. And, like, I don't think even Francisco Lindor didn't come up till he was, like, 23.
I was going to say, I thought he was a little older than 24,
23
25.
or 24.
Yeah.
But again, that goes back to the small market thing where like small market teams will hold a player down an extra year just so that they can hold their eligibility for an extra year.
That's true. I don't know how much of that goes into just the game playing, you know what I mean? Like the front office playing the game or
right.
But no, I think it's mostly because of football. I think you see because, I mean, anybody who's drafted in the top 10 in the NFL draft, almost 100% of the time, I would say 98% of the time, is starting the next year.
Yeah.
It just kind of...
first rounders almost always are starters.
Especially like your top 10.
Yeah.
Those guys, like, I want to say 100% of the time, but like, I know that that's not true because
there's exceptions.
Because the Niners just drafted a quarterback and he's not starting.
Right. Yes.
So I know that that's not 100%, but it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
If you're getting drafted top 10, you're playing the next year. Baseball, like you said, you could get drafted number 1 overall. That doesn't mean you're touching the major leagues for 4 or 5 years at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you, can you even name who the Giants drafted last year? Like one player the Giants drafted?
No, but to be fair, with the short season, I didn't watch last year.
Okay. I mean, even like the year before that. I'm not like berating you because I can't name a single player the Indians drafted.
We do have some guys that I've been watching that they have drafted in the higher rounds over the last few years. Joey Bart, Helio Ramos. I think there's one other that off the top of my head I can't remember, but I know if I heard his name I could tell you. That are in the minors right now that are working their way back up. But that's the whole point, is they're in single A, double A, or triple A working their way up to the big club. And this has been a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I can tell you the Indians drafted a shortstop in the first round last year, and they drafted a center fielder the year before that, but I couldn't tell you their names.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no point to learning them when there's a chance you'll never even see those guys in the majors.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah. As a number 1 pick, you might not even make the majors. And if you do, it might be 7 years after you're drafted.
Or it might be for 5 appearances at the plate, and that's all you ever see.
Yeah. So it's baseball is the one sport where it's like it's getting drafted does not mean as much as it does in other sports.
But I also, so this is one thing I actually kind of love about baseball. I think baseball cares about their players a little bit more. From like I want this guy to develop standpoint.
Fair. Go
ahead.
In a bunch of other ways too. Like, I mean, baseball is the only sport that like takes care of its players after retirement too.
That's
Like
football's
football.
getting better at it now that all the CTE, what's it called, the CTE stuff is going on.
There's been a
I struggle
mosquito
with
flying
acronyms
around my
because
room
I work for a
like
school and there's 1,000 acronyms, and I don't want to say
Yeah.
the wrong thing.
No, yeah, CTE is the like brain disease that you get from repeated concussions. Trust me, I know because I probably have it. I've gotten about 6 concussions in my life.
Oh, for real?
so-
I've gotten a couple, but not that many at all. I think I've gotten 2.
Only a few of them are from sports. Most of the rest are from other random stupid crap that I've done.
One of them's 100% from football, and it was 100% my fault. We were doing track. Oh, see, I don't even gotta say that.
I know.
It was freshman year of high school. We were doing tackling drills, and I was going up against literally what ended up being one of our best linebackers, and he had the ball in his hands, and he just literally dropped his shoulder, and I dropped my head, and my voice went from about this to about this. I'm okay, guys. Don't worry. It was so bad.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever you talk about high school football, that's when someone goes, "Oh yeah, I got a concussion in high school football." It's like, you dropped your head, didn't you? Yep.
Bad coaching. I mean,
No, it was great coaching. It was poor judgment and bad form on my part. Because the coaching was always keep your head up. I just went to tackle and instinctively dropped my head with the rest of my body, and it was ugly. Really funny though. Looking back on it, I don't think I didn't find it funny at the time.
Really quick, I mean, we're already pretty off topic here, but to get just a touch more off topic, I saw a video the other day. He's on Sports Talk Radio in Cleveland that I follow on Twitter. It's one of the like hosts of like the Sports Talk Radio. Posted this video from it's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 year olds at the oldest playing football, and it's in practice, and they're doing, I don't know if you know the Oklahoma drill. It's where you line up 2 players on opposite sides. One has the ball, and you're on the ground, and you have to hop up and then run at each other, and the guy with the ball has to get past him.
Yeah, we definitely did that.
Yeah, well, most states have outlawed that drill.
Really?
It's so brutal because you can't avoid contact, and it's just nothing but just run straight at each other. And
it's football though.
Well, yeah, but it's practice. It's not.
We talking about practice, man?
Okay. But no, so it's like little kids, and like it's a hard helmet to helmet, and this one kid gets knocked out, and the coaches are like celebrating the hit, and it's like the kid lowered his helmet, got run over, got knocked out. He's like 6 years old, and the kids are like coaches are like celebrating the other guy hitting him. And it's like,
maybe I'm just cold-hearted, but I'm okay with celebrating the hard hit because I love good hits on football. But at the same time, you need to be checking on the kid that got hurt.
Yeah, no, they weren't doing that. He was laying on the ground.
Like I'm okay with being like, that was a killer hit, and ramping that kid up. But at the same time, like, you got to make sure the kid that got hurt or got put down is okay. Like there is a kind of a double, like a fine line you got to walk there, because I mean, you want your kids in football to hit hard. I'm sorry. I'm over this whole don't hit people hard.
Yeah.
We don't want to give them concussion. It's like, then don't play football. Football is a collision sport.
Yeah. A lot of places have said that football should not, like, it should be flag football, learning the rules until like middle school. Is a lot of states are doing now.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I didn't play football until I was in high school, personally, but
I did. But I hated football.
But I don't begrudge anybody who wants to start their kids young.
Most parents won't let kids even play football anymore.
I used to know a
'Cause it
couple
is
organizers
so
for Pee Wee football.
Yeah.
As I got older, but I knew a couple guys that were coaches and ran leagues for Pee Wee football.
Yeah.
But that sucks. If you ever, if you got a link for that, shoot me that link because I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. He posted it on his Twitter, so it shouldn't be too tough. But anyway, getting back to it,
We've got if this is where we started talking, we went to here, which was okay, it made sense. Then we went to here, and I think we're kind of like off here at this point.
We're pro tangent around here.
Very pro tangent.
Like, we love sports. We're going to talk about sports. Even if it's not baseball, we'll go on a tangent about another sport because we love sports. So,
You see the NFL schedule?
Yeah, what?
Did you see the NFL schedule?
I did.
I love that it got leaked, like hour by hour. But it was like hour by hour for each week before. It was just so funny. Like it was intentional, but it was funny. Anybody who's a sports fan has got to love that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything we want to add for baseball philosophies? Anything you want to kind of throw on there before we outro this episode? That way we can. I said we were going to have a short episode, but we're literally on probably one of our longer episodes.
That's fine. Yeah, for anybody watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast later, we had some technical difficulties, so we started late, and we said we would do a short one, and we didn't. So
yeah, we were like, oh, we'll do short, and then as 2 hours later, here we are still talking sport. This is why we need to do maybe every couple weeks we do a Bases and Brews does something else, because there's so much sports stuff going on that we always end up on tangents on.
We can talk about it later, but yeah, I'm with you.
But anyway, like I said, anything else you want to add for the baseball philosophies?
No, I think we kind of covered pretty much everything on both sides of the spectrum, coaching and front office building and stuff like that.
And if you guys, anybody who's on YouTube, leave us a comment. If anything we said that you agree with, please let us know. Yeah, I'm always curious.
Let us know your own philosophies on how you would build a team or coach a team or whatever like that.
But on that, thanks everyone for watching. You guys are all great. Thank you for listening to this episode of Bases and Brews. No spaces, by the way. We are on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews every Friday night. Usually we go at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. This week was pushed back just a tiny bit because of some technical issues. But if you are liking what you're hearing and you want to hear some of our other episodes, we are on YouTube, Spotify, almost every podcast except for, as far as I know, Apple Podcasts. Just search up Bases and Brews and we will be there. If you guys want to come in and pop in, we usually will interact with chat at the very end of our streams. So come on in. Tell us what you think of us. We do this live every Friday, like I said, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Everyone have a great week, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Bases and Brews.
Later, everybody.